Serie A, ligi ya Italia, farasi ni wanne. Udinese wapo kidedea, wanafuatwa na Napoli, Empoli na Torino, wote wana jumla alama 9, Udinese alama 10. Ligi ya Ufaransa, Ligue A, baada ya mechi 4, Paris Saint-Germain mabingwa washikilizi wapo kidedea, alafu wapo chini kidogo kwa alama 1 tu ni Olympique de Marseille na Monaco. Bundesliga, ligi ya Ujerumani, baada ya mechi 3, vigogo mabingwa washikilizi Bayern Munich wapo kidedea, wakifuatwa na Dortmund na RB Leipzig. Ligi ya Uhispania maarufu kama La Liga, Barcelona wapo kidedea, alama 4 mbele ya Atletico de Madrid, Real Madrid na Villarreal. Kisha ligi kuu ambayo inafuatwa na wengi, ambayo inapendwa na wengi, ligi ya Uingereza. Kidedea ni bingwa mshikilizi Manchester City, jumla ya baada ya mechi 4 ana jumla ya alama 12, akifuatwa na ndovu Arsenali. Kazi mtazamaji, karibu katika makala ya The Football Slip. Manake hii leo ni siku ya Ijumaa. Angalia mechi kubwa weekend hii, punde afe lakini mzigo ufike. Manchester City watakabana koo dhidi ya Arsenal. Nani ambaye atakuwa kigogo weekend hii? Sipo peke yangu, bali na wanahabari wenzangu wa tajriba. Jina tajika Rogers Shtemi. Mambo vipi bro?
Niko fresh.
Uko sawa, umetulia? Uko sawa kabisa?
Ndio tumeanza mambwembwe. Mbwembwe ndio zimeanza, weekend inakaribia, mechi kubwa Arsenal dhidi ya Man City. Hapo Gor Mahia pia wako kule Warabuni wanacheza dhidi ya Al Ahly. Na pia Manchester watakuwa ugani wakikaragazana na Crystal Palace.
Na polisi wamebanduliwa nje.
Wamebanduliwa lakini wamejaribu sana.
Lakini kiheshima.
Si rahisi kwenda Cairo na uweze kupigwa mabao mawili. Si rahisi. Na vile Jesewera amefungua akaunti yake ya mabao pale polisi. Kumbuka ni mchezaji ambaye amecheza kule Zambia, amecheza na Madhari humu nchini Tusker, lakini amerejea na ameshaanza mambo yake pale polisi.
Steven Mkangai, mwana wa Nora, baba Nora, nyota kumetuka, man of tactics, Ingotse all-time top scorer. Nimewata gani?
Chibuda Ingotse.
Alafu pia mzee wa Makuzo. King of Makuzo.
Juzi kumekuwa na mwingine hapo huku. Yule mascot
Kuchutama.
King of Scots.
Homo zimekubali. Nashukuru sana. Wiki imekuwa nzuri na tunachapa kazi vizuri. Tuko hapa kupambana na Simona Robi leo. Yuko around? Robi sikushua. Sijamwona leo. Nimeona akiwa na msomaji wa habari wa Berur. Msichana wake msindikiza msichana wa Berur, msomaji wa habari. Akiwa ameshika ile handbag.
Robi ameshika handbag
ya mtoto wa Berur, msomaji wa habari.
There's a problem.
No, nafikiri ni teamwork. Hii ndio convergence. Handbag. So sijamwona kwa katuo. Lakini tuko sawa.
Convergence. Moto wa Mrima. Bora usiguse Mrima. Mrima anasemaje? Mrima anasemaje?
Sikiza nini?
Na kama ground inasema
leo mnakuwa
leo nayo unaona inakuwa moto. Hivyo ndio hapa tunaenda kuifanya ikuwe moto. Hapa ndani ya Football Slip. Kwa ni weekend nyingine kuanzia kesho. Umesema ni Man City Arsenal.
Naam.
Ni mechi kubwa ambayo tutakuwa tukizungumzia baadaye.
Tamu sana Robinson Kenya na mwenzangu Cedric Musumba. Mambo yakoje huko? Manake hapa tayari tushawasha moto tayari. Yaani tayari tushafanya nini? Tumewasha Robinson Kenya.
Hassan, hiyo tarumbeta itabidi umezima hiyo sababu umezima hiyo tarumbeta sababu hatuendi mbinguni sasa hivi. Well, Mkangai, ulikuwa unasema ati nilikuwa na msichana wa Berur, nilikuwa namsaidia manake niliona wewe utanunua maziwa. So, Hassan, it's been a fantastic week when you talk about football. Yes, and of course, we've seen the new format of the Champions League, the league format, and we'll be talking much about that later on in the show. But you know, in Studio B, I'm not alone. Cedric Musumba is here with me. We are going to take a look at what transpired the entire weekend. Of course, what to expect this weekend in the matches that we have on the cards. The big one, of course, being Arsenal traveling to Etihad to see whether they can take down the elephant that is Manchester City. Cedric Musumba, how's your week been?
It has been as fantastic as you put it, rightly put it, given to the essence that we have seen actually new kids ushering themselves in style in the block of soccer, the likes of...
Have you enjoyed the new Champions League format?
I do, simply because you need actually to work hard if you want to rest enough venturing into the round of knockout stages. You need actually to work hard to be in the top 8, and that means equally that those that will be dropping back into maybe starting from position number 9 up to 24, they will have a tussle ahead of them because they will have to play more games before even they realize their goal to achieve at the end of the league itself.
So, Cedric, I want us to take a look at what transpired this week, starting with what happened this evening. And of course, we recap the week. And Police FC have been knocked out of the CAF Confederation League. This is after losing to Zamalek 2-1. So 3-1 is the aggregate score. This match was played away in Egypt. So Police FC out of the competition. Now, the day before yesterday, President William Ruto flagged off the under-17 girls football team, that is the Rising Starlets, Junior Starlets, to go to Egypt for a pre-season, World Cup camp before the Under-17 World Cup begins in the Dominican Republic in October. Now, Eshtemi, I know you've been paying a lot of attention to these girls that have been performing very well. What are your thoughts on the team that we have at the moment, and probably what should we expect in the World Cup? Briefly.
It is always a dream come true for any footballer to grace the World Cup, and I'm very, very happy for these ladies who are going already to Spain. That's already a preparation moment for them, and already 23 of them have already were selected by head coach Mildred Cheche. That tells you the preparation already underway and expectations are already high. Of course, you know they're in a tough Group C that has England, Korea, and also Mexico. But of course, World Cup, there's a lot to be done there. These ladies are going there maybe to showcase their skills and maybe attract scouts. And at the end of the tournament, maybe in November, there'll be something for them to come back home and tell people this is what we explained and this is what maybe we have done. And I believe from the support they have received from the government, from the Ministry of Sports, from the Federation, I'm pretty sure these ladies will prove the doubters wrong. And already you have seen a younger player there from the Mira Girls, Mira's Comprehensive School. That's grade 8 player, Joanna Ogola. She made the cut. We have the likes of Jen Sakopweyu.
I know you'll go down deep when we get to discussing about the Rising Starlets, but we'll do so later on in the show. Remember, we're just recapping the week. So we move away from the Junior Starlets, we move to the Champions League. Now, this week we saw a new format of the Champions League taking place, and of course a number of teams were participating in the Champions League. And of course, aside from that, in the Champions League, a new format, a new era has begun. Let's talk about Real Madrid, the defending champions. I mean, the best team when you talk about the Champions League. Yes, they were in action taking on Stuttgart. They got a 3-1 win against the German side. Endrick scoring that stunner as the game was almost coming to a conclusion. Very, very important. Now, let's move away from Real Madrid. Let's go to a different team that performed very well this week. And it's all about Bayern Munich, 9-2 against Dynamo Zagreb. And I know, Kariuki, you are a fan of Harry Kane. He had 4 goals in that time. What did you make of his performance?
Right, you've said it right. 4 goals in one game shows that Harry Kane is very much interested in having a trophy at least as he continues playing the game. But also for Vincent Kompany, most people had doubts about him taking over the Bayern team, but he has shown that indeed he has what it takes to take the team forward. I remember they had already been scored 2 goals. It was 3-2, but they went all the way to 9-2. So it shows that indeed Bayern is going to be proving to be a very good team, and they might win something this season. Never mind that last season they went home trophyless.
Yes, so aside from Bayern Munich, of course, getting that 9-2 win in the Champions League, yes, Barcelona was in action yesterday and they lost to Monaco, one of the shocking results that we had. But aside from that, remember this youngster, Lamine Yamal, became the youngest ever scorer in the Champions League. And aside from this, kuna team ilishindwa kutingisha mlima. Who am I talking about? Arsenal. They were in action yesterday and they settled for a barren draw against Atalanta. Mkangai, ni nini wangefanya watingishe mlima?
Kutingisha mlima ni kutembea Nairobi kuongea kwamba tuzungumze lugha moja, lakini kubwa na hisi kwamba ilikuwa ni mechi ambayo kama sio David Raya Arsenal kwa napigwa. Ukiangalia ilikuwa ni mechi wanaanza maisha bila Odegaard ambaye atakanja labda kama mwezi mmoja, na ukiangalia walikosa ile creativity kusonga mbele. Kwa hivyo nafikiri Mikel Arteta atakuwa na kazi ngumu hasa Jumapili dhidi ya City, na ukiangalia ile mechi ambayo alianza vizuri, second half akadrop. Alafu ukiangalia Martinelli, afadhali Anton, kwa sababu nafikiri amekuwa ni obvious kabisa isaidii timu ile, wengi ilikuwa very weak. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba Arsenal bila Odegaard itakuwa ngumu, na watamtegemea sana David Raya na defense kwa saidia. Vinginevyo Arteta na mtihani mgumu sana kufanya kazi.
Arteta ako na mtihani mgumu. Now, timu nyingine ambayo iko na mtihani mgumu, Manchester City, they were in action against Inter Milan. They settled for one, or rather barren draw in the Champions League. But before that, Cedric, we had the case, the 115 alleged charges against Man City. The hearing started on Monday. What do you make of that? And are we likely to see Man City, dethrone some of the leads they've won, or it will be point deduction from your own point of view?
Actually, it's a hard call actually to FA maybe to try to unlock it, given to the essence that it's this Man City that has given them a name that is being celebrated currently. Yes. And going to the mere fact that if Man City happens to be dropped down the log, FA itself actually will be in a big tussle actually finding to recultivate its name and maybe start winning back the so-called privilege or played ground as one of the best league in the world. And also, if you go by the accounts that this Man City is literally facing, it will be so hard for FA itself able to account if it happens to pardon Man City and maybe make it continue with the progressive results that it has been producing. It will be an essence for other teams that are there in the league and maybe they have been practicing the same to maybe cultivate from what Man City has been doing and continue with the bad behaviors in that particular essence.
Judge, what will you say? Dock points or take the titles away?
You see, for the advantage of the league, Man City should stay in the league and continue doing whatever it's doing. The only essence maybe is just to drop the point from the Man City, if at all they happen to be guilty into this particular case, allow them to continue trading, or rather maybe pick the culprits among the, let's say, the hierarchy of the Man City and punish them rather than punishing the team itself.
Yes, aside from Manchester City, we saw AS Roma part ways with Daniel De Rossi. Was hired towards the end of last season when Jose Mourinho was fired, and he hasn't stayed there for long. Yes, after starting the league in a not so impressive way, he has parted ways with of course, AS Roma. Now, let's take a look at the, before we even take a look at the big ones of the weekend, Manchester United were in action. They got a massive 7-0 win against Barnsley in the Carabao Cup. Hassan Juma, I know this is something that is close to your heart. For the first time since Manchester United beat Southampton 9 a few years back, this is the first time they're getting such result.
I mean, I was happy for Marcus Rashford because, I mean, he's been training, marvelously, but it's been difficult for him to find the back of the net. I hope him scoring a brace in that particular match. Of course, I know Garnacho scored a brace as well as Eriksen, and Anthony scored one goal, but I was keen to look at Marcus Rashford's performance. I hope it's a turning point for him and the team, Manchester United. But that aside, I'm happy for Ruud van Nistelrooy because he's really worked hard with Marcus Rashford. Once they're done with training, these two guys remain behind to try and do an extra training. So I hope it's a good turning point for the team, Manchester United, as well as Marcus Rashford. I hope he scores another brace against Crystal Palace this weekend. I'll be very, very happy.
Yes. Thank you very much, Hassan. So let's move to the big games of the weekend. Arsenal travel to the Etihad Stadium to take the champions, Manchester City, a test to see whether they have what it takes, to win the league this season. Remember, they won against Tottenham last week. So this will be one of the biggest tests this season. Now, aside from Arsenal, in Syria, we also have one of the biggest games in the league. That is Inter Milan taking on AC Milan at the San Siro. Who's your money on? We'll be telling you and giving you our predictions later on. Now, Hassan Juma, what do we have for this weekend? Which games do we have on the cards?
Naam, tuangalie kwa haraka mechi za hii weekend, mechi 10 haswa Bitcoin United dhidi ya AFC Leopards, Ulinzi Stars dhidi ya Shabana ligi kuu ya humu nchini, Man City punda afya lakini mzigo ufike dhidi ya Arsenal, Southampton dhidi ya Ipswich Town, mbili hizi za ligi kuu ya Uingereza, Juventus dhidi ya Napoli, Juventus wako nyumbani, Inter Milan dhidi ya AC Milan, derby lila Milano hili, ligi ya Italia hii, alafu Bayer Leverkusen dhidi ya Wolfsburg, Stuttgart dhidi ya timu ambayo ina mahaba nayo Borussia Dortmund kutokana na uwanja ule wao wa Signal Iduna Park. Nimezuru huko Steve Mkangai kwa hivyo Signal Iduna Park.
Okay, kuna picha.
Borussia, picha zipo. Ligi hiyo ni ligi ya Ujerumani, kisha Valencia na Girona na Villarreal na Barcelona ligi ya Uhispania. Naam, kwa hivyo sema nasi katika mitandao ya kijamii The Football Slip. Mimi nipo at Hassan Juma Karaoke,
at Danny Karaoke, S Mkangai, Rogers
Eshitemi Rogers.
Come again?
Eshitemi Rogers.
Robinson Okenye R_Okenye. Nani yuko kwa mtandao?
Cedric Musumba Facebook.
Kwa Facebook.
Cedric Musumba Facebook.
Cedric Musumba yuko kwa Facebook
Twitter.
Robi muulize X ni gani?
Kwa hivyo hizi ndio game ambazo tunaziangazia weekend hii, the 10 magic matches. Tuangalie results za last week. Mambo yalikuwa kwaje kwanza? This was the results for last week. Gor Mahia lost to Al Ahly at home. 3-0. Police wakashindwa na Zamalek 1-0. Sofapaka, hii ilikuwa ni Continental, hizi mbili zilikuwa Continental. Sofapaka wakashindwa nyumbani na Atalanta. Kariobangi Sharks 3-2 Tusker. Spurs walishindwa nyumbani na Arsenal. Hoffenheim 1-4 Leverkusen. Atalanta 3-2 Fiorentina. Girona bao moja, alafu Barcelona mabao 4. Atletico de Madrid mabao 3 Valencia bila, alafu Lens Suluhu bin Suluhu na Lyon. This is my sleep for last week, guys. Hassan sleep. No, it's okay.
Si mimi ni Mkangai.
Me. 6. Kuna shida gani?
6 ni E.
6 out of 10 E.
Hata si E.
How is this E?
6. Okay, waje tolea Robinho nitakomment.
Okay, guys, angalia, mimi nilipata 6 out of 10. Karaoke amenyamaza kwa sababu wewe mtu mlima, tuangalia mlima bwana.
Mlima nayo hii.
Kuja hapa, usimama angalia
mlima hajai kosea.
Tuangalia Karaoke aliperformaje? Karaoke
From
7 out of 10.
hali ya mkeka hali ya gonia.
Lakini Mkangai ukiangalia watu wawili, hao ni watu wamerepeat class sana. Wako tu.
Wamerudia.
Wako tu. Hawasongi.
Nafikiri wajua, hiki ni kipindi ambacho tunaangalia hapa maisha ya Mkenya wa kawaida. Hiki ni kipindi ambacho tuna target mama mboga, boda boda, watu wawekezaji. Ni mtu ambaye anaweka zake 50 mara ama 20 apate kitu. Lakini sasa kila siku ukipata 5 6, ukienda sana 7 atuwasaidii. So nafikiri inafaa tuende kwenye drawing board.
Sijai kuwa chini ya 7.
No, lakini sasa kama lazima unapata ngapi?
9.
So tusaidii. Unashuka. Na wajua kwa probation bado tunawazia
Atuende sana. Asibatuke.
So nafikiri 7 na 6 hapa kidogo tunauza mwekezaji. Turudishe ile confidence, watu amini.
Robi, Karaoke.
Acha tuone nyingine.
Robi, so I got 6. Mtu wa Mlima got 7. Sijui ulipata ngapi bana?
Well, of course, Hassan Juma, as always, I am the leader. I lead, others follow. And
What is
he saying? Others follow.
What are you saying?
You see, Hassan, for a very long time, unajua ushaipea mtu kitu a copy, but ana copy lakini bado anaanguka.
Anakopa na jina.
That is how you roll. So I got 7 out of 10. Cedric, I don't want to go to the results because we've seen the results, but which was your peak from the weekend and the peak result from the weekend?
So surprised about the battle between Arsenal. I think the London derby between Arsenal, Spurs versus Arsenal.
We expected goals.
I truly expected a very kind of cagey kind of game, but at the end of it, I was off my cards on Spurs, thinking that maybe it will have to upset the good run that Arsenal is really presenting and maybe trying to win the minds of its fans. But that was not the case. Arsenal, at the end of it, actually it made some big smile on the faces of their fans, and it really made us not really go to bed happy. Some of us, we were really disturbed by the news that was calculating from that particular result.
Cedric, before we take a look at the Champions League, Dennis, can we go back to Karaoke's sleep? Karaoke's sleep from last week. Briefly, Karaoke's sleep from last week. Cedric, hata kama ni wewe. I know we talk about confidence, but when you say that Gor Mahia itapiga Al Ahly.
No.
it's a kind of, let's say, rotary that is not tantamount result that we perceive to be. But maybe he was really banking on the money that would have come out of it, given the odds that this battle was presenting, if I may do so. Because I think it was clear factual to us that Al Ahly was coming here to collect points. Not necessarily goal, but if you put your cards on Al Ahly, then it means maybe you are either had bet, a bet on it, thinking maybe you will cultivate very big at the end of the results.
Hata mafans wa Gor Mahia walijua hapa ni mlima. So let's quickly run through the standings of the Champions League now that yesterday we had the first match they completed. Bayern Munich is on top of the log with 3 points with a goal difference of 7, followed by Celtic, Leverkusen, Aston Villa, Dortmund, Sparta Prague, Liverpool, Juventus, Real Madrid, Sporting, Benfica, Atletico. These are teams that actually won their matches. So let's move to the other slide where we have Brest. They settled for a draw, rather they won. Monaco, of course, also with a win. PSG with a win. Arsenal, draw. Atalanta, draw. Bologna, draw. Inter, draw. Man City, draw. Shakhtar, draw. Barcelona, lost. Leipzig, lost. Sturm Graz, lost. Red Star, lost. Girona, lost. The other slide that we have, let's take a look at that. Of course, PSV lost. Stuttgart lost. Milan lost. Lille lost. Club Brugge, Salzburg, Young Boys, Slovan Bratislava, Feyenoord, and Genk. Can we go to the first slide of the top 8 teams that we have in this? Cedric, I know we've spoken about the Champions League and the Super League, but there is this notion that, even if we have this league format, still we'll have the top teams in Europe here in the top 8.
That was the conversation before the tournament itself began. But again, the result has told us that maybe we might be seeing some sort of surprises at the end of it. Because given the result that were presented here, no one actually knew that the kind of Barcelona will be hammered when it happened to visit PSG at Paris. And also, no one literally knew that Real Madrid, after really winning their match, will again be dropping to bottom 8. You see, those are the kind of permutation that maybe we shouldn't be expecting so much of the big week that has been celebrated in Europe, that maybe if it comes to this, the Super 8 that was at some point not really liked by the leagues by then will come to play here. Maybe we might be presenting big surprises. And also, Robbie, if I may say so, I've been so much impressed by the kind of the so-called Farmers League in Europe, and maybe that's a Bundesliga. All the Bundesliga have been presenting results. Look at the Bayern Munich, look at the Dortmund, look at the Bayern Leverkusen. Those 3 teams, if they come here, whom will they be dislodging from this top 8 position? They'll be dislodging the so-called the big wings in this particular position. Maybe Arsenal will be unlikely to maybe be promoted in this particular thing.
Well, they might be.
Maybe Inter Milan won't be seeing that particular position. And who knows? That's the kind of recommendation that we should be expecting when it comes to the kind of the rally. So to the essence that you don't have the home advantage that has been played before.
Let's take a look at the week's sleep before we take a short break. Remember, we have in the local league, Bidco taking on FC Ulinzi, host Shabana. Man City will be taking on Arsenal. Southampton will be facing Ipswich. Juventus face Napoli. Inter Milan take on AC Milan in the Milan derby. Leverkusen host Wolfsburg. Stuttgart will be facing Dortmund. And Valencia are at home taking on Girona, with Villarreal hosting Barcelona. Those are the picks for the weekend. We take a short break. When we come back, it will be all about our predictions. And of course, we'll be taking a look at what to expect in the 3 biggest games of the weekend. Arsenal traveling to the Etihad Stadium to take on Man City. AC Milan going to San Siro to take on Inter Milan. And of course, there's a fixture that we have to take a look at. That is Juventus hosting Napoli. That will be after the break.
When you're well rested, you work at your best. Well, maybe it's not so far-fetched. You can play online games on 1xBet. Roll